Hey, what up guys? This is the first video in a series of 4 of my North Carolina trip. Basically, we went to Southern Pines, which is a revamped and recently reopened Donald Ross course. A little rough around the edges, but in a few years' time, this course is going to be an absolute gem. So let's head out to the course and see how I did. Alright, before this round gets started, I just want to say thanks to Donnie for playing alongside me and being my cart buddy and, being my ultimate hype man during this round.
Alright, Josh.
Alright, straightforward hole here, just 372 yards downhill. I just took out a hybrid because I wanted to be in the center of the fairway. I had no warm-up, and I just got off the plane, and I'm running on very little sleep. So, next shot, I end up hitting it a little bit short here. I'm just trying to get into the groove and warm up. And yeah, so I just have to chip onto the green here. And yeah, as you can see, there's a little bit of sand everywhere. They're trying to get these greens in nice condition because they just reopened. A little rough around the edges, but yeah, missed out for my par, and I just tap in for my bogey. Next up, just starting on a par 5 on the second hole. I hit a pretty good drive up the left-hand side, and yeah, feeling like I'm actually warmed up now. So here's my next shot. There's a lot of wind in this one. Just laid it up and hit a 6-iron into the center of the fairway, and I'm sitting real pretty for my next shot. Coming up is my approach, and I end up tugging it ever so slightly to the left, but at least I'm on the green and I have a look at it for birdie. So here is my birdie attempt. I need to get over this hill, and it breaks left to right, and as you can see as I'm zooming in, I just leave it short. So didn't have a lot of practice time on the putting greens, and the putting greens weren't really, the practice putting greens weren't really like close to what the on-course greens were in the first place. So picked up my par here, on to the next hole. Someone else who played in our group was Jess, TheBogeySmalls. He was a par 3 machine today, and yeah, in this one he's just onto the green in regulation. It looks good, but as you can hear from everyone talking, everyone's just hyping each other up and having a great time with each other. So here's my shot into the green, and yeah, I end up being just maybe like 10 yards short of it. So like I said, still warming up, yeah, getting the kinks out of the swing, coming off the plane. Here's my chip onto the green, and it's not too bad. And yeah, I got about like a 10-footer for my par, and I drop it in. So feeling pretty good, only one over. Alright, next up, I have a little errant drive to the right-hand side. Luckily, I was able to find it, and it was not in a bad position. So I have a clear shot to the green, and this is my first kind of hit off of pine straw. I end up hitting this pretty pure and onto the green in regulation. So I have a really good look at birdie here. So here's the birdie attempt. Looks good at first, and just drops right below the hole. So tap in par, still one over though. Coming up next is another par 5. This one I just hit onto the left-hand side with a little bit of fade, but it wasn't quite enough. So my next shot, I just have to hit a punchy 4-iron. So I hit this 4-iron, just end up, drawing it around the corner, and it's actually a really, really good shot. And so I have a short shot into the green, just to get on in regulation. I end up cooking this ever so slightly, and it goes a little bit off the back side, but I still have a putt for it. And so this is my birdie attempt. And yeah, not the greatest attempt for birdie. And here's also the par. And yeah, I end up 3-putting. So burn the edge and end up 3-putting and getting my bogey here. Alright, next up is a cool shot over water. Unfortunately, I end up popping up my driver and it doesn't go like anywhere. So it lands soft on the left-hand side, and I have some trees to contend with between me and the green. Unfortunately, I hit it really, really good, but I end up going into the trees. It kicks out and lands softly, so now I'm in the bunker. So all I'm thinking on this bunker shot is hit the ball first, and you'll be fine, only about 75 yards out. But I end up just hitting it a little too thin, and it went over the green. So I was thinking about hitting my wedge here, but I end up taking putter, and it was totally the wrong choice. I end up hitting a ball marker, and it still rolled out way past the hole. So now I have a long putt for my bogey. And yeah, I just end up being a little bit short and tapping in for my double. Alright, here's another par 3 shot of the squad. Yeah, Donnie just hits a baby fade onto the green. But it ends up rolling, a little bit backwards because of the hill and the undulations. And then Jess here, par 3 machine, hits a really nice shot, and he ends up being maybe like 15 feet from the hole. So what a great shot by both of these guys. So it was a little windy, so I clubbed up, and I just wanted to punch it under the wind. but I ended up hitting it really pure and going straight into the sand trap. So one thing I want to highlight about this sand shot is that the fourth person in our group who we didn't know, he challenged me to basically say closest to the pin gets a free Arnold Palmer. So that's where his shot ended up. And this is where my shot ended up. And all I got to say is that he didn't get me an Arnold Palmer. So an IOU from that guy is definitely in order. So that was my putt for par. Missed that and just get the bogey. And we're on to the next one. So this hole's really intimidating. There's water on the right. And I thought too much about it. And I just duffed the crap out of my mini driver to the left. So I re-tee. And I hit another one because I, basically almost went out of bounds with that first one. So I'm just going to take a 2-stroke penalty. And now I'm in the pine straw. I just punch up and I hit a really good shot. It goes just right at the sand trap and starts rolling onto the green. So I actually have a decent look at it for bogey. So this is my bogey putt. And this was just a really terrible putt. I yanked it to the left and didn't get anywhere close to where I was supposed to go. So now I have a long one for my double. And yeah, just left it short. So end up getting a triple bogey with a lost ball off that duff drive off the tee. Alright, next up is a cool par 3 over water. I end up climbing up and doing a little bit of a punch draw. And I overdrew it and didn't play enough to the right. And so I have this really tough chip to get onto the green. So I thought this was going to be a really good chip. I get it on and then it hits the side slope. And it just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. And now I'm in the sand trap. So I lost the footage here, but basically I chip it on, and here's my ball on the left-hand side, and I 3-putt. So I end up getting another triple. So 6 over in 2 holes, not feeling great. Also, I end up pulling my driver on the left-hand side, but luckily I was able to find it, and I had a clear shot to the green. So I just take my pitching wedge here. It was a little bit sandy, caught a little sand, and I end up just chipping it onto the green pretty close. Here's my birdie attempt, maybe 10 feet. And yeah, just don't give it a good attempt. So yeah, I just tap in for par, but after going triple, I'll definitely take that. Next up is a really cool hole. It rewards accuracy off the tee. There's water and bunkers right, and then there's bunkers far into the left. So I end up just poking it in between and basically having a short wedge onto the green. So I chip it onto the green. It rolls a little bit past the hole, so I have another short one for my birdie. So here's the birdie attempt. And yeah, just not a really good putt. Having difficulty just reading these greens, tapping in for par. Next up is a longer par 4. I end up pulling this into the left-hand side. And unfortunately for my next shot, I have trees to contend with all up the left-hand side to the green. So I do hit a pretty decent iron here. And unfortunately, I hit the right-hand side of the green, and it kicks all the way down this hill. So now I'm in this just junky lie in this dirt. And as you can see, there's construction going all around, and not the best of lies if you miss all the green areas. So here's my chip attempt. I end up hitting it pretty close, and I have a close one just to save my bogey, and I end up blipping it out. One thing I wanted to note is that the Arcos pictures are very different from the actual course itself. Just telling you how much they've actually done out here. So for this next par 4, I end up hitting a pretty good drive. But I end up getting caught in this really weird tree with thorns in it and vines. And so I just have to muscle my way through this. So yeah, here's my attempt. Just put as much as I can behind the ball. I couldn't even really take a practice swing because behind the ball was vines. And then I have this crazy lie in this little bush. And I'm just happy to get onto the green. So yeah, it goes onto the green but starts rolling towards the back. And then I have this long one for par. So don't pick up the par here, but it's a tap-in bogey, and I'm happy after getting those 2 bad breaks. Alright, next up is the lost hole, which is mentioned in multiple articles about the Southern Pines. I just take my pitching wedge here, end up a little bit off the green, but pin even. So here's my birdie attempt from right off the fringe. And yeah, I just didn't read it right, and it broke in a direction that I had no clue about. So just tapping this in for my par. And yeah, trying to get things back in order here with my round. Alright, next up is another par 5. Hit one of my better drives of the day on this hole, right into the center of the fairway. So I'm set up really pretty for my second shot. And I end up taking my hybrid and hitting it pretty good. But unfortunately, it lands in this random fescue that's in the fairway by the bunker. And so yeah, I'm in pretty deep stuff next to the green. So you see, it just grabs my club and pulls it to the left, but I end up chipping it really, really close despite the lie that I was in. And here's my birdie attempt. And yeah, just a lot of birdie attempts today actually, and none of them end up dropping. So tap in par, can't complain. All right, up again is a short par 4. End up hitting this one just shy of the trap that you see on the left hand side. And so I have this pretty scary chip for my next shot. And I hit it just far enough to land on the green, but not too short to where I hit it into the sand trap. So I'm very happy with this. And like I said, another birdie attempt. And yeah, just not a very good putt. So another par. All right, next up, take my driver out. Unfortunately, hit the trees on the left-hand side. It gets a really hard kick and just kicks back into play, which I'm very happy with. So this next shot, I'm taking my 4-iron off the pine straw. Take a weird swing, but actually ends up landing onto the green. It rolls up, and I'm like, got a really long one for birdie, but at least I'm putting. So here's my birdie attempt. Not very good. I end up rolling it like maybe 6 or 7 feet past, and so I have this for my par. And yeah, just not rolling them very good today. So end up just tapping in for bogey. All right, another cool hole on the 18th. You got to play with the trees on the left and the bunkers if you want to be kind of close for your second shot. Or you can bail out to the right but have a long second shot into the green. So I end up hitting it perfectly. And this next shot, I chunked the crap out of it, but I took enough club to where it didn't matter too much. And so I'm on the green and putting for birdie. So here's my birdie attempt. And yeah, like you see, lots of birdie attempts, not very good putts. And so I end up just tapping that in for par. So as you can see, some ups and some downs for sure. This is my first foray into, I guess, North Carolina golf with all the pine needles and everything. So it was a really awesome course, a really great track. I think it needs a few more years, to really mature into an awesome course. But yeah, if you have the time, I would check it out. But I think there's some other courses that I'd rather play. Speaking of other courses, there's 3 more videos to go. We're going to Pine Needles next, and then there's going to be a scramble at Mid Pines, and then the Venerable Tobacco Road. So hope you guys enjoy that one. Keep chasing, and I'll see you in the next one.